TRY.MENLO is our lead generation tool for partners, and I'm going to run you through the tool with its built-in demos and access to around 100 websites in isolation for free. The holding page contains brief information about the tool itself, how isolation works, the three main features: web, email, and document isolation, and finally our global cloud backbone. You register with a corporate email address, validate it, and you'll arrive here. Now, you can access the websites at the top or at the bottom of the page, but given that this is the real money shot of the tour, my advice would be to reveal these at the end. The first step is web isolation. You click on the orange link to try it out, and once in the HBO clip that you're about to see, you're given a brand new browser in Menlo's cloud. And by clicking play, you'll see that everything works as you'd expect it to, albeit bear in mind it's speeded up a bit for this demo to get it in time. Tip number one here, the clip has audio, so when you share your screen, don't check the box to share your computer sound, as it is too distracting for both parties with it on. Tip number two, change the resolution to full HD and turn on subtitles. Click next, and you'll see that as you've not come into direct contact with HBO's website, that's evident from the address bar, there's absolutely no way that you can be infected. Once you click through here, you're then given a much better view to pause and fast forward the clip, just as you may do normally. So in just a few minutes, you've impress the audience with the lack of latency and that the native user experience is preserved. That viewing content through isolation is no different to viewing web content outside of it. Back in the tour and onto the email isolation section. Click on the reset password, and the Coach and Educate banner that Menlo shows at the top has established that this isn't a legitimate PayPal site. Click next. And you see that we have disabled input controls so that actually a user can't even type in their credentials. So with isolation in place, you can keep your customers safe from phishing links, but still allow users to visit all web pages. Now you can allow a user to override this feature, and because Menlo records this activity, administrators can quickly, easily identify click-happy users and create tailored, acceptable usage policies for repeat offenders. Tip number three, this is a really good time to introduce your own phishing war stories. And if you don't have one, I suggest you borrow one from a colleague, right? Or you can contact me and ask me nicely, and I'd be more than happy to talk you through a great real-life example of how Menlo's email isolation has been introduced to help solve, some huge phishing problems. Once you've closed this tab down, or to move back to the tour, you then flow through to the document isolation section. There you go. So, Menlo's technology means that you simply don't need to download the original anymore in order to view the contents. Click the link and you're taken to a completely safe HTML version of the document without needing to do anything else. Straight away, I can download a safe PDF version of the document whilst Menlo scans the original for risky content. And I can only download the original if it's deemed safe to do so. But ask yourself the question, why download it? In this scenario, I don't need to see this stopwatch ticking over to view the content here, right? So this is reinforcing that message. Back in the tour, you're led, here we go, to the 3 deep dive sections. And each of these has 3 built-in demos. Click Explore Web, and the first demo is a Wikipedia entry. The grey about buttons give you pointers like look how copy paste, scrolling, site navigation, hovering over hyperlinks all work brilliantly. So what you do then is click try it and do just that. Always follow what the pointers are telling you to do. You can't go wrong. The next demo shows search results for NBA finals in Twitter. The pointer here is to look at how the interactive elements all show up immediately. And before you access the demo, you're reminded how Menlo's proprietary ACR technology renders the visuals, right, back and forth. Then you click try it to see ACR in action. And you'll then see that this technology delivers a seamless user experience. Everything pops up as you'd expect it to do. And remember that you're never in direct contact with Twitter. The final web isolation deep dive demo is a YouTube video clip. By now, you should be convincing people, right, that you don't sacrifice user experience with Menlo's web isolation. And yet, just like the previous HBO example, everything looks the same as viewing YouTube normally, right? For demo purposes, the pop-up that is going to be displayed now is what appears when trying to view sites in isolation outside of the approved demo sites. These prospects then become really hot leads for us, as you can probably imagine. Right, Document Isolation Deep Dive has 3 demos: a normal PDF, a Word document, and an encrypted PDF. On average, 80% of users that view an isolated PDF don't proceed to download the original document, and the demo shows why, right? The scanning process that you'd seen before kicks in to allow downloading of the original, but I can always immediately download a safe PDF version with all active content removed. We know that ransomware, right, often uses macro-enabled documents to infect machines, but by converting all documents into safe HTML, Menlo completely, right, eliminates this threat. The Word demo simply highlights that all of the original metadata is perfectly preserved in the isolated PDF, right? You can see this, open the preview pane, highlight, copy and paste if need to. And the final demo is encrypted PDFs, which we know cause issues because they can easily evade AV and sandbox scans. So simply enter the file password and the encrypted PDF opens safely in isolation. Ignore those pop-ups. Back in the tour, and we're then in the email isolation deep dive, right? The green See It button, yeah, if you see the green See It button, takes you to a high-level diagram that shows, if we just hit how we transform and restore email links and attachments before they arrive at your inbox, you know, opening them safely in our isolation platform, and also how we turn websites into read-only. So once you've digested that, you then click Try It on both the link and attachment demos, and you'll be sent emails to the address that you registered with. And you can then see the whole email isolation process, how it works in much more detail for yourselves. Then we move on to the kind of last section, which is Menlo's global cloud. So this is the blue, there you go, you can go nowhere else. That cloud is delivering close to 5 nines uptime availability from around 40 AWS data centers in 10 regions. And this cloud infrastructure enables us to provide infinite scale, extremely low latency routing and deliver 0 downtime software updates. If you click See It, you'll see a map of our regional locations. Click About in the middle section and you're reminded that Menlo always keeps our own isolated browser current, patched and up to date globally so that it doesn't matter if users don't. The next step is to try isolating this site from a few of Menlo's global locations. This site shows when you click on it that I'm currently in Spain, which I am. And when I then go to click on a couple of the locations from the list of 4, you'll notice the IP addresses and the locations change to reflect the regional routing. Now we go to the final page of the tour, the finish the tour, which lets you summarize and agree the next steps. Most likely a detailed sales engineering demo, or maybe even going straight through to an evaluation. Then you need to conduct the big reveal that I talked about earlier by clicking the back to tour and then go to view sites. The golden takeaway here is that we have around 100 news and media rich sites that I'm scrolling down now that you can bookmark and visit safely in isolation. This final asset makes TRY.MENLO the best possible way to keep a prospect warm and engaged, but also, and perhaps more importantly, enables you to qualify a prospect in or indeed out nice and early in the sales cycle. As you walk in prospects through this list, the message here is that there's no limit to the number of users that can register for this. There's no time constraints. There's no need for expensive POV resources to be allocated from you or them, and certainly no obligation to buy. So I want you to be really super confident with TRY.MENLO. It's a simple to navigate, prompt-driven tool with controlled Menlo narrative that allows you guys to easily demonstrate what we do and how we do it, and therefore quickly identify those customers that are interested enough to progress.